Several weeks ago, on December 1st, 2024, Lihi Lapid, the wife of the current opposition leader Yair Lapid, filed an affidavit to the Tel Aviv court in which she explicitly and openly denied believing in Jesus. This is an incredibly important development. A hugely influential missionary by the name Chaim Malespin claimed several times in November of 2021 that Lihi Lapid was a, quote, believer in Jesus. In my experience, believers in Jesus and the Christian religion do not publicly deny belief in Jesus. After her affidavit from December 1st, I am convinced that Lihi Lapid is not a Christian believer. We can now say quite confidently that Malespin was lying, period. Let me explain the backstory so that you can understand how important this is. The center of the story is Japheth Chaim Malespin. He calls himself Chaim Malespin. Malespin was born in the U.S. and raised in a Christian cult called the Brethren, and then as an Amish Christian. When he was a teenager, his family immigrated to Israel, eventually receiving citizenship. Malespin and his siblings have told many different and contradictory versions of the story, but it appears that they were able to receive citizenship under the law of return because they have Jewish ancestry on their father's side. Malespin stayed in Israel and became a missionary. Malespin served in the IDF and studied in Israel, marrying a Canadian pastor's daughter he met in Tel Aviv. He was ordained a pastor in Israel, and he set up his ministry near Tiberias in partnership with his father-in-law, Dean Bai. Malespin claims to be Jewish, but he is not. Thousands of years of Jewish tradition dictate that one is only Jewish if one is born of a Jewish mother or if one converts to Judaism under the supervision of a duly constituted Jewish court. Reform Jews also recognize as Jewish a person born of a Jewish father who was raised exclusively as a Jew and who goes through several formal ceremonies. Malespin was not born to a Jewish mother. Malespin did not convert to Judaism. Malespin was not raised Jewish. No normative Jewish movement considers Malespin a Jew. Malespin is not just another missionary. He is extremely well connected. He likes to boast of his connection with Israel's President Yitzhak Herzog and of the contracts his missionary organization has with Israeli government ministries and municipalities. He's not the only missionary located in Israel, but may very well be the most well-connected and influential of them.
1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 13, it says, we are baptized by one Spirit, whether Jew or non-Jew. And that's true. I see the Spirit of God at work here, changing people's lives.
Malespin is an evangelical who seeks to bring Jews and Christians to Israel and to convert Jews to Christianity before the anticipated Christian end times. Malespin has been described as a Messianic Jew, but Malespin is not a Jew, and Messianic Judaism is not a Jewish movement. It is a Christian one. Messianic Judaism is a type of evangelical Protestantism that uses Jewish terminology and symbols in order to proselytize Jews. But at its core are the central tenets of Christianity, from Jesus being God and the New Testament being Scripture, to the centrality of Paul as the chief interpreter of the faith. There are some Jews who have adopted Christian beliefs and joined the Church of Messianic Judaism, but the overwhelming majority of so-called Messianic Jews are, like Malespin, not Jewish. Malespin likes to call himself a Jewish believer. By believer, he means he believes in Jesus and the Christian religion. By Jewish, he means he has some Jewish ancestry, even though no normative Jew would consider him Jewish. Well, the word games are critical to the Messianic movement's deceptive missionary activity against Jews. They call themselves believers rather than Christians. Their God is not Jesus, he's Yeshua. Their place of worship are not churches, they're congregations. They don't convert Jews to Christianity. They provoke Jews to jealousy to help them, quote, fulfill their Judaism. That's the background of our story. In November 2021, while speaking at several Messianic churches in the United States, Chaim Malespin claimed that Lihi Lapid, the wife of then alternate Prime Minister Yair Lapid, is a believer, in other words, a Jew that has adopted Christianity and believes in Jesus and the Christian religion. Let's look at two of the occasions in which Malespin has made his claim. The first of these videos is taken from a speech that Malespin gave at a church called Beth Emmanuel Congregation in Chandler, Arizona on November 16th, 2021. Malespin was describing what he claims is a growing success of evangelical Christianity in Israel, and specifically the form of evangelical Christianity called Messianic Judaism. Let's watch the video.
A season where never in history have there been so many congregations of believers. I'm in a conference just now. I got this little conference badge still on. But there's all these new believer congregations happening. Yeah, actually Israel was there too. And so all these congregations, all these believers, and they all have kids. We're in a time with more congregations, more openness to the gospel. Even the government, the prime minister's wife is a believer right now. Yair Lapid, anyway. Yair Lapid's wife, Lihi, is a believer. Like what? This is what, I mean, not a confirmed believer. So this is crazy stuff going on right now in Israel. Hallelujah! Yeah, we're living in exciting times.
4 days later, on November 20th, 2021, in a different Messianic church, namely Or HaOlam Messianic Synagogue in Overland Park, Kansas, Malespin made a similar claim. Here's the video.
Prophecy is happening right now. Now, we're like, what in the world? Where is Netanyahu? Some of you guys are saying, where is our president? What's going to happen with this guy Bennett? And Yair Lapid. Well, Yair Lapid's supposed to start soon. His 2 years, and his wife is a believer in Yeshua. Yeah, Lihi is her name. She's not vocal about it, but she's a believer. Will they drain the swamp in Israel? Will they, what is that called? Fire everybody in the Ministry of Interior and say, stopping the people who are coming in here? And will that happen? Or they leave the same people in there and just, I don't know. We need to be praying for them, that they will do. You know that Yair Lapid was officiating weddings, and he said, I don't care about these religious. I'm going to officiate it myself, right in the street. He was doing that for like years, officiating weddings and saying, I don't bow down to you religious people. So there's exciting times, I think. I think there's a season of hope coming. But there's also more congregations than ever before. Imagine all the kids that everyone's having, especially in COVID time. There's so many believers in Israel now. I mean, not compared to America, but so many believers, so many kids, so many openness to work. Like, for example, we were partnered with the Jewish Agency for the last 6 years. We work now with the Army. We're approved by the IDF. We're working with the welfare, Ministry of Aliyah, Ministry of Absorption. So kingdom, see, there it is. Is it time to establish the kingdom of Israel? I would say yes, it is.
Pay attention to the confidence Malespin displays. He says Lihi Lapid is a, quote, confirmed believer and, quote, she's not vocal about it, but she's a believer. Note also that Malespin presents his claim about Lihi Lapid as part of a boast about Christian influence in the Israeli government. He ties it to his hopes to make Israeli government policy more accommodating to Messianics and the Christian missionaries. Both of these videos were broadcast live at the time and have been available on the internet ever since. Before I go any further, it's important to repeat, based on Lihi Lapid's affidavit from December 1st, 2024, we can now be confident that Malespin was lying when he claimed on November 20th, 2021, that Lihi Lapid is a believer. Lihi Lapid is not, I repeat, not a believer in Jesus. She is not a Christian. Let's run forward. At some point in the middle of 2022, Malespin's videos, especially the one from Beth Emmanuel in Arizona, started getting traction in Israel. At first, there were a few postings on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, then hundreds, even thousands by late October 2022. Malespin's statements had gone viral. This was nearly a year after Malespin made his claims that Lihi Lapid believes in Jesus, and just days before the November 1st elections in Israel. Besides the numerous mentions in social media, several news outlets covered the story. After the statements went viral and after several other reported on Malespin's claims, I reported to you on October 31st, 2022, about Malespin's comments just hours after the publication of a different story about Malespin's claims by Jonathan Sakadochi in the Jewish Chronicle. In his story, Jonathan, who does terrific work as a journalist, wrote that just between October 28th and October 30th, 2022, one particular video of Malespin's claims at Beth Emmanuel was watched 45,000 times. Malespin responded to Jonathan in two parts. About himself and his organization, Malespin said, "We are, number one, not missionaries. I'm a Jewish Israeli, fought in 2 wars, probably more wars than you fought in, my friend. I've been shot at by Hamas, by Hezbollah, and I will continue to defend Israel and help Israel and the lowest of society, and I'm not a missionary." Jonathan reported that Malespin refused to answer a question about his own belief in Jesus. Jonathan asked Malespin specifically about his Beth Emmanuel speech, and Malespin put together for Jonathan a short video in Hebrew that was published exclusively by the Jewish Chronicle. Jonathan included Malespin's comments in his story in the Jewish Chronicle, and he also included Malespin's short video in a clip that accompanied the story. Let me show you the entirety of the Jewish Chronicle video.
A season where never in history have there been so many congregations of believers. I'm in a conference just now. I got this little conference badge still on. But there's all these new believer congregations happening. Yeah, actually Israel was there too. And so all these congregations, all these believers, and they all have kids. We're in a time with more congregations, more openness to the gospel. Even the government, the prime minister's wife is a believer right now. Yair Lapid, anyway. Yair Lapid's wife, Lihi, is a believer. Like what? This is what, I mean, not a confirmed believer. So this is crazy stuff going on right now in Israel. Hallelujah! Yeah, we're living in exciting times.
לפני כחצי שנה, כאשר דיברתי בכנס בחול לנוצרים, ילידי ציון, תורמים למען ישראל, אמרתי משהו לגבי אשתו המכובדת של כבוד ראש הממשלה יאיר לפיד. לאחר מכן הבנתי שהמידע שהיה לי לא היה תקין, אני טעיתי בדבריי, לא התכוונתי להגיד משהו שלא היה נכון, ואני מבקש סליחה. לא שאלתי לא את יאיר ולא את ליהי, אשתו, אני מבקש סליחה על הטעות, וגם כעמותת ציונית ישראלית אני רוצה לבקש מכל הצופים בי עכשיו, אל תשתמשו בטעות שלי ככלי מלחמה פוליטית.
Let me explain what you just saw. Again, this is a video put together by the Jewish Chronicle to accompany Jonathan's report in that newspaper. I haven't edited at all. You saw it just the way the Jewish Chronicle prepared it. There are 3 segments in the Jewish Chronicle video. The first is a clip from Malespin's Beth Emanuel's speech of November 16th, 2021, in which he claimed that Lihi Lapid is a confirmed believer in Jesus. The second part is the special video created by Malespin and sent exclusively to Jonathan of the Jewish Chronicle on October 30th, 2022. The last part shows you a Google search result if you enter the search terms Lihi Lapid Jesus. Jonathan Sakadochi tweeted in his explanation for including the Google search in his video, and I'll quote, "A Google search for Lihi Lapid Jesus. This was apparently because someone hacked Lihi Lapid's website to create this search result." What's more important is Malespin's apology video sent exclusively to Jonathan at the Jewish Chronicle. Jonathan's film was the first publication of Malespin's apology video. My report was the second. Jonathan published Malespin's apology video in full without any editing. Because I showed Jonathan's film in its entirety, I also published Malespin's apology video in full without any editing. As far as I know, no one else has published Malespin's full video apology except when republishing my report. As you'll notice, Malespin is extremely vague. He references an unnamed something that he had said 6 months earlier. He never says directly what he's apologizing for. Alongside sending the video to Jonathan, Malespin lied in several important respects to Jonathan. For instance, Malespin claimed that he is not a missionary and that he is Jewish. As I pointed out at the time, given that Malespin is an admitted liar, it's hard to know which, if any, statement of Malespin to believe. If Ms. Lapid had not publicly denied belief in Jesus in her affidavit of December 1st, 2024 affidavit, we might still be left in the dark about which of Malespin's statements were lies. Fortunately, today, we don't have to rely on the unreliable word of Malespin. Given Ms. Lapid's affidavit of December 1st, 2024, we can now confidently say that Ms. Lapid does not believe in Jesus, and Malespin lied in his November 2021 videos. Lihi Lapid's response at the time, back in 2022, were evasive and puzzling. When she was contacted by a journalist about Malespin's claims in September 2022, she responded, "I never heard about this. I don't know who he is, and I don't know what he's talking about." Obviously, that's not a denial. When interviewed a month and a half later by Jonathan for the Jewish Chronicle story, a spokesperson for Ms. Lapid said somebody said something that is not true. This is the situation. It's not true. It's a lie. I don't know why he said it. I don't know what his interest is. I don't know, but it's a lie. End quote. Now, that sounds more like a denial, but it's not a very good one. Just like Malespin's apology, the statement fails to identify the, quote, something that's not true. The statement is so vague and general that it's, well, a kind of denial Messianic Christian believers will feel comfortable making. At the time, I wrote in the Jerusalem Post, Messianic Christians like Chaim Malespin frequently deny being Christian. Lihi Lapid's response shed no light on whether she is a Messianic. If she were truly bothered by Chaim Malespin's claim that she is a believer and wishes to dispel doubt, she could simply say, I don't believe in Jesus, or any similar words in a formulation that Messianics would avoid. If Ms. Lapid were to say those words, I would believe her, and I'm sure others would as well. I wrote that in November 2022. In her December 2024 affidavit, Ms. Lapid finally said exactly those words, I do not believe in Jesus. That's why I believe her. Others should believe her too. Explicit denials of Jesus are words that Christian believers, like so-called Messianic Jews, would avoid. To the best of my knowledge, the first time that Lihi Lapid publicly and explicitly denied believing in Jesus was her statement in her December 1st, 2024 affidavit. But back in 2022, Ms. Lapid declined to take my advice, and I'm truly sorry that she didn't. Instead of clarifying at the time that she didn't believe in Jesus, Ms. Lapid decided to do two very strange things. First, she decided to publicly attack and even sue for defamation someone for saying that she believes in Jesus. But she didn't attack or sue the person who actually said she believes in Jesus. As far as I can see, she has not publicly said even a single negative word about Malespin, the missionary who openly and repeatedly claimed she believes in Jesus. Instead, she attacked me for being one of many people who accurately reported what Malespin had said. Second, she continued to be coy and refused to directly deny belief in Jesus. I don't have a good explanation for Ms. Lapid's actions. Ms. Lapid made a variety of untrue and truly bizarre accusations against me. She said that I denied she is a Jew and that I called her a missionary, that I was connected to a conspiracy against her to distribute fake photographs and to break into her website and perform other hostile acts against her. All these claims are complete lies. Let me pause and make sure there are no misunderstandings. Lihi Lapid is Jewish. She is not a missionary. Her claim that I said anything different is a lie. Ms. Lapid also made even more bizarre claims against me. She and her lawyer said that my report was designed to make viewers believe things that I never said. They said that by using subliminal messaging techniques like facial expressions and using question marks, I manipulated viewers and listeners into believing that Malespin had told the truth when he said in November 2021 that Ms. Lapid is a Christian believer. All that is completely false. My report said what I knew at the time, and it said it explicitly and accurately. I have never used any mind control tricks to get people to believe subliminal messages. I have certainly never presented Malespin as a trustworthy character and never urged people to believe anything that Malespin says. I never said that Ms. Lapid was a Christian believer or Messianic. Until Ms. Lapid made a clear statement just a few weeks ago, I didn't know what her religious beliefs were, and I repeatedly made that absolutely clear. Now that she's explicitly denied believing in Jesus, I could say with confidence that I believe that she is not a Christian believer. Maybe the most mean-spirited things she said were simply attacks on me personally. She said, and her lawyer said, I am greedy, dishonest, exploitive, a weaver of conspiracies, and on and on. Ms. Lapid and her lawyer claimed to know my thoughts, and they said my thoughts are evil. I can offer no explanation for Ms. Lapid's behavior. Look, we are now into the third year of Lihi Lapid's lawsuit and publicity campaign against me. After going through pretrial discovery, we learned a few more things about the story. On the Malespin side of the ledger, we learned that his apology was insincere. Malespin presented an affidavit to the court in which he said that his apology referred to his comments in his Beth Emanuel speech and nothing else. In other words, Malespin apologized for saying on November 16, 2021, that Lihi Lapid believes in Jesus, but he does not apologizing for having said 4 days later on November 20th, 2021, that Lihi Lapid believes in Jesus. Malespin was lying when he claimed that Lihi Lapid believes in Jesus. And he was dishonest a year later when he pretended to apologize. As for Ms. Lapid, until December 1st, 2024, she continued to be evasive. For instance, in March 2023, just after I filed a counter lawsuit against Ms. Lapid for her defamatory lies about me, a reporter interviewed both me and her spokesman. At the time, I said, and I'm quoting, I don't know whether Malespin lied when he claimed she believes in Jesus or whether he lied later when he apologized for, quote, something he said. I don't know Lihi Lapid well enough to know what her beliefs are beyond her public statements. I've suggested that Lihi Lapid clear the air and publicly state that she does not believe in Jesus in order to put Malespin's claim to rest. But she has declined my suggestion for reasons she has not publicly shared. Meanwhile, the reporter had this interesting exchange with Ms. Lapid's spokesperson, and let me read that part of the article to you, starting with a quotation from the reporter. Just to make sure I understand you correctly, are you saying that Singer knows the truth that Ms. Lapid does not believe in Jesus? And how do you know that Singer, quote, knows this? There was no response to that question. Let me be clear, the spokesperson repeated in his new email. Ms. Lapid does not believe in Jesus, and any claims to the contrary by Mr. Singer or anyone else are false. I then asked if Lihi Lapid would provide a direct quote saying that she does not believe in Jesus, rather than receiving it from a spokesperson. But that request was denied. I really can't tell you why Ms. Lapid refused to deny Jesus until a few weeks ago. But a new affidavit does publicly deny belief in Jesus, and it therefore finally gives us a clear answer about her beliefs. Ms. Lapid does not, I repeat, does not believe in Jesus. She is not a Christian believer. One other matter that Ms. Lapid addressed in her affidavit was repeated media reports that her sister, Elil Karen, is a Messianic believer and a former member of Messianic Church, Tiferet Yeshua in Tel Aviv. The same reports say that Elil Karen's husband and Ms. Lapid's brother-in-law, Daniel Karen from Canada, is not Jewish at all, and that he too was active and even a prayer leader in the Messianic Church. In her affidavit, Ms. Lapid claimed that her sister and brother-in-law, Elil and Daniel Karen, cut their ties with the Christian community in Israel 20 years ago, that neither is a Messianic Christian, and that Daniel Karen has since converted to Judaism. Obviously, Ms. Lapid's statement can't be reconciled with the media reports about Elil and Daniel Karen, many of which are presented to the court. But whatever version of the facts you find more credible, I reported it earlier that we cannot judge Ms. Lapid's beliefs on the basis of her sisters, and I stand by that. Given the new information we have as a result of Ms. Lapid's affidavit from just a few weeks ago, I'm replacing my earlier report on Malespin's claims with this new updated report. It's important for me to make sure that you have the entire truth just as I have uncovered it. I want to make sure that you know the truth, not because I want to surrender to Ms. Lapid's ugly attacks on me. In fact, I know there is a good chance that Ms. Lapid will respond to this new report by attacking me again with a new round of false accusations. I know that she's not likely to take back any of the defamatory lies she's already published about me. But I have always tried to be completely open and honest with you, and I'm not going to stop just because Lihi Lapid or anyone else attacks me, sues me, or defames me. 2 years ago, I had my lawyers tell Ms. Lapid that if she would explicitly deny belief in Jesus in public or even privately to me, I would publish that I believe her and that she is not a Christian believer. My offer was sincere and unconditional, despite unconscionable behavior towards me. I am now keeping my word. This is not because every word that Lihi Lapid says is necessarily true. When I say that her denial of belief in Jesus convinces me she is not a Christian believer, it's not because I blindly trust her every word. In fact, I know that she lied about me. The reason I believe this statement of hers is because of my experience. Christian believers do not deny belief in Jesus. The words denying Jesus would not come out of the mouth of a Christian believer. Therefore, I conclude that she is not messianic and she is not a Christian believer in Jesus. You deserve to know about Chaim Malespin's and other missionaries' deceptions, and no threat will stop me from reporting the truth about them. After December 1st, 2024, I firmly believe Ms. Lapid is not a Christian believer, and you deserve to know that too, because it's the truth. This report was based on court records. For obvious reasons, I believe that soliciting additional comments from Ms. Lapid or Mr. Malespin is futile. However, if either gives me a substantive response that is newsworthy or adds to our understanding of the facts, I'll update. These are very hard times for the Jewish people and the nation of Israel. Let's focus our attention on the things that are most important to all of us as a nation, as a people, and as servants of the Almighty.